Hello and welcome to the podcast about my upcoming book, Attempting Local. Attempting Local follows my journey as I explore Ireland, surf the waves of the North Atlantic, hike the country's rugged mountains, and travel throughout Europe, all while striving toward a master's degree. It's an extremely honest account of how tough it can be to leave everything behind and move abroad, though it simultaneously demonstrates the beauty of a life of solo travel. Are you a fan of Attempting Local? Make sure to tap that follow button if you listen on Spotify, subscribe if you're on Apple Podcasts, and follow at Attempting Local Podcast on Instagram and Facebook to stay updated on relevant info. Now, enjoy the show. Episode number 11, Revelations, Detroit versus Galway. I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely stoked to get to some happier times and more upbeat stories. Part 1, Lost Inside, reflected a very challenging time, my first few months abroad. Without the difficulties, the subsequent parts and remaining real-life tale wouldn't mean half as much. But I just wanted to officially welcome you to Journal 2, Found Outside. Part 2, Entry Number 1, December 23rd, 2018, 120 days since moving to Galway. Entry title, Pre-Reflecting 1. I'm about 5 hours away from the beginning of my trek home. I'll have the long bus to Dublin Airport, an overnight stay in Terminal 2, a flight to Boston Logan, then I'll finally land in Detroit. Through the lens of imminent departure, I'm seeing things differently. It's almost how I viewed it when I first arrived. In love with the charm, pleased to see so many people out enjoying life. Galway has this certain air about it, and it's quite invigorating. I feel it more so now during this holiday season than I did in the midst of the toughest parts of this experience. The absolute lack of responsibility probably has something to do with it. I have the ability to slow down, absorb the surroundings properly, see more, listen intensely. Honestly, it's refreshing. It's strange going home. I don't think I'll understand exactly how I feel about it until I'm there. There have been incredibly difficult days here, but many more have been simply incredible. Will reflecting on that make me miss it more? Will I realize the truly wonderful opportunity I have here? Will I hate the dull reality of suburban life in Metro Detroit? I always find myself doing this. Asking so many questions. Does that imply an attempt at a coming of age, or that I'm just human? I feel coming here has imbued me with few answers and endless questions. This brings to mind a relevant quote from Andrew Forstofel's Walking to Listen. Quote, "I'd left home in order to catalyze a coming of age, but sometimes it seemed like I was just putting it off." Unquote. No matter, there's one thing I'm fairly sure of. I don't think I'll see this girl again. You remember that girl from previous episodes, the bus girl? That's who I'm talking about. I suppose I got what I wanted in a way. Finally, there's an answer. Even if it's not quite the one I wanted, it's an answer nonetheless, which is surprisingly comforting. God, I'm tired. I'm struggling to keep my head from falling onto the bar top as I write. I stayed up way too late and I'm paying for it now. I'm not sure if I can articulate more thoughts at the moment. Part 2, Entry Number 2, December 24th, 2018, 121 days since moving to Galway. Entry title, Pre-Reflecting 2. It's been over 24 hours since I began traveling. It's gone smoothly and I have only one more flight keeping me from home. Still, it hasn't been easy the whole time. I've had brief moments of overwhelming emotion. Thoughts of hugging my family for the first time in months, or rather, knowing I'll soon have the ability to do so, has filled me with joy to the point of tears. It's a real homecoming. I still don't know what to expect from it. I have no car to get around. I'm not sure whether people will be proud of me or if I'm even proud of myself. People often see my experiences as an opportunity to live vicariously. They feel what I do. But those feelings are a very different set than my own. I'm perpetually wondering, though some perceive me as full of answers. I wish that were true. Part 2, Entry Number 3, December 31st, 2018, 127 days since moving to Galway. Entry title, Walking, or the lack thereof. $7.49. That's how much it would have cost to cover the 3-mile lift home. I looked down at the number on my phone screen. It peered back indifferently, waiting to discover if I'd accept. I would not. I thought I could walk a half-mile down the road to the diner and fill the increasingly desperate pit in my stomach. Then the ride would cost less. I quickly realized I'd be paying even more overall and scrapped that plan. I then stopped thinking altogether and let my legs decide. They've barely gotten any use since I've been home. New boots were laced to my feet, dying to prove themselves in their claims of being waterproof. I had a rain shell for my pack, gloves for my digits, and my legs were feeling fresh, prepared to move without hesitation. My mind let loose the reins, and my body began to move methodically, packing up my books and notes. My legs left the coffee shop behind, and my mind seemed to catch up somewhere down the street. "Oh, we could get food there," my mind said. "No," the legs replied in unison. "How about there?" "Nope." "Why do we keep passing restaurants?" my mind asked. "Because," the legs replied. I knew there were no sidewalks for the last 2 miles, but my incessant limbs wouldn't stop moving. Whether I liked it or not, which I do, Galway had changed me. Manually traversing distances that once seemed imperceptible now appeared minuscule. I'd learned to shut my mind off and let my legs do what they do best. It's actually been quite liberating. The reliance on vehicles was diminishing, increasing my personal freedom. Who wouldn't enjoy, at the very least, to have that choice? Sure, I did it, but it's not necessarily safe. The Motor City and its metro area were not designed for use by bipeds. Rather, this was all designed for the motorized machine. It seems obvious, but the consequences may not have been originally. Need groceries, fuel, supplies, need to get to work? Well, you better get in your car. Oh, you don't have one? Sorry, you're screwed. If you can't get to work, you can't get a car. If you don't have a car, odds are you don't have a job. It's not exactly like public transportation is a huge priority around here. Unless you're in the center of Detroit. Even then it's rough. Luckily, with apps like Uber and Lyft, or even Bird, the scooter renting service, people have more options for relatively cheap mobility. Nevertheless, I walked. My thoughts drained to my feet and I abandoned them with each step. Right, left, left. I strode to the self-established cadence, emptying my mind, staring forward, unfazed by the passing cars. Consciousness rushed back when I noticed a cop sitting off the side of the road opposite me. Was what I was doing illegal? There are no sidewalks. Maybe he thinks I'm hitchhiking with this hiking pack on. Isn't it my right to walk in my own town? Questions and arguments whisked in my brain due to the presence of authority. Shouldn't they make us feel safer, not more threatened? I strolled past without incident, but I couldn't help feeling strange. It's not simply the way of the land that's encouraged less walking and more driving. It's the way of the people. We've opted for this. In his book, I'm a Stranger Here Myself, Bill Bryson, undoubtedly my favorite author, writes, quote, "Americans have always had a strange devotion to the idea of assisted ease," unquote. In this particular instance, he's addressing our love for ludicrous gadgets that help with mundane daily tasks. The sentiment applies to vehicles as well, though. In an earlier entry, Bryson relays, "A researcher at the University of California at Berkeley recently found that the average person in the United States walks less than 75 miles a year, about 1.4 miles a week, barely 350 yards a day. That's appallingly little. I rack up more mileage than that just looking for the channel changer," unquote. While Bryson always adds his signature zest of humor, he drives home a point that's inescapable. We Americans hate to move. Let's make this idea locally applicable. My dad is the township supervisor here, and he told me homeowners are fighting initiatives for more sidewalks and a riverside path. They say these additions will lower their property value, which I find plainly to be preposterous. They say people should stay in their cars, but what if they don't have cars, my dad argues. Well, they should, the citizens respond. Do people really hate using their legs that much? Isn't a community where it's at least possible to walk better off than one where it's not? I know where I stand, happily on a sidewalk. In any case, I'm home. It's strange being here. I feel like I'm on the set of a movie. It all seems fake, like a cruel trick. As if I'm a fragile glass and a malevolent villain is about to tear the tablecloth from beneath me. It's too nice being here, too ideal. Even my brother was home for Christmas, which is the first we've shared since I can remember. And all too soon I'll be gone again, though for twice as long. It's painful knowing that, and the fact hovers like a restless cloud following me, ready to burst. I'm endlessly thankful I finally decided to come back though. I missed everyone, felt out of the loop. Like I was losing those I loved by my own doing. Now, I know that's not true. We were simply waiting for each other, only on opposite sides of the Atlantic. Part 2, Entry Number 4, January 7th, 2019, 134 days since moving to Galway. Entry title, Revelations. I thought I'd write more at home, that coming home would induce hallucinogenic epiphanies like some magical drug. It would be the answer to all my questions. Now that I'm sitting in seat 40C of my Aer Lingus flight back to Dublin, I'm realizing the answers are only beginning to become clear. Yeah, I did feel some revelatory emotions while in Michigan, namely that family and friends need to be a greater priority than my desire to travel. That was actually a huge moment, and it's one I pray to never forget. But now, hearing the Irish accents, flying back home to Galway, I understand I made the right choice. I have two homes, two lives, running parallel, bisected by the Atlantic Ocean. I'm thankful for that. Part 2, Entry Number 5, January 8th, 2019, 135 days since moving to Galway. Entry title, Realignment 1. I feel that choosing a year-long program was the best decision I could have made. The sentiment can be explained in some ways as being more honest, more authentic, or simply as recognition of a liberating opportunity. After a deceptive semester of bouts with immigration, banks, forms, and orientations, I understood it would be a disservice to Galway and its people to assume all of that was the one reality. I could have dealt with all that nonsense just to go home when things became more familiar and more focused. The absence of peripheral distractions has realigned my reasoning for being here in the first place. To learn, both from university and from culture. Now the fun begins. I can attune my senses away from bureaucratic duties and instead to my immediate surroundings. Sure, I felt that near the end of the first semester, but it's growing stronger and becoming more demanding of me. On a completely different note, our new housemate's parents found the apartment strap-on, much to their dismay. My Irish housemates got it as a joke the previous year, and it's just been kind of chillin' in the common area, on the couch in full view. Being that our new housemate is an undergrad student from a Catholic university in the States, it's no surprise his parents were pissed at the dildo's nonchalant presence. The student housing staff kindly emailed us to hide the personal item after his mother and father attempted to take their child back home. I laugh at the ludicrous thoughts they must have had about the goings-on of apartment 43. I assume they imagined some orgies or intra-housemate pleasure, though neither have happened to my knowledge. Hopefully this new guy's less uptight than his parents, cause he's in for one wild ride. Sorry, couldn't resist. Hey everyone, I'm Cullan. Thank you for listening to episode number 11 of my upcoming book, Attempting Local. For now, episodes will be released every week and I'll update you if that changes. This novel took over 2 years to create, from the idea's inception to editing this final version. The endeavor first required about 8 months of planning, applying, and test taking just to get accepted and then to prepare for university in Galway. I then worked through an arduous year-long accelerated master's program, all while traveling and experiencing the country, just to keep an entertaining and detailed, handwritten journal to share with others. Lastly, I had to transcribe all 4 physical journals onto my laptop, edit, re-edit, send to my editor Sarah, and send to publishers. And I'm still currently sending submissions in. This process has taken an immense amount of time and money, and I'm still working on the Attempting Local project. All I ask is, if you're passionate about this podcast, desire the information it provides, or just look forward to the fun listening experience that it offers, please go ahead and support it. Simply head to anchor.fm/Cullan-McNamara or visit patreon.com/CullanMac. Your help and support go a long way in keeping this podcast up and running. It literally paid for the mic I'm using right now. So just know that you'll fuel my ability to create and share this beautiful and timely piece of work with all of you, and hopefully one day this will finally get published in print. So thank you again, and enjoy listening to Attempting Local, a year abroad in Galway, Ireland.